Hello everyone, my name is Shamie, and this is my video for this week's discussion. Flat out, I just believe that Henry VIII was just not a good leader. He definitely failed to be a true leader. In this document, the Implementing Ethics and Standards further supported my argument, in my opinion, on it. So First off, Henry VIII clearly breaks the laws against maladministration. He, at like what I've learned so far, he just seems as though he has this sort of sense of entitlement and only really just thinks about himself. Um, he just seems very self-centered, and in my eyes, a good leader just has to put others before himself, and he definitely did the opposite. And the document clearly supported it. He was just using his power to basically do whatever he wanted to an extent, but um, he he just really ran with it. Didn't care. He didn't have a single care about anyone else but himself. Also in the document, it talked about transparency, and he failed in being transparent. An example I'm referring back to was when we learned that he tried to, marry Anne, behind everyone's back in secret, knowing that it would be wrong. He knew he cannot, like, he knew what he was doing was wrong. But again, because he's self centered, he didn't care. He didn't care. He was going to, do whatever he wanted, no matter what happened, no matter what consequence. And we ultimately end up learning the consequence of that action. And yeah, he just, how can, like, in my eyes, how can we trust a leader who isn't showing their true selves to us and rather holding secrets? It doesn't build a good relationship between, the leader and the people. Also, the charters of service as ethics standards, that was a topic mentioned in the document. Um, and just referring back to everything so far, he's never seemed to take accountability for his actions. He, again, rather not care about anyone else but himself. And what sucks is that it seems like he continued to live this on throughout his life, connecting to, his children. He had a son. His son unfortunately passed away, and it seemed as though he was constantly looking for that male heir, but he had, he kept continued on having daughters, so that still, even like moving on to the next generation of, the next, like, the further generations of his family, he was still, very much self-centered and very much wanting total control of everything. Never caring about anyone else, never maybe thinking about the mother of his children, his wife, the people. Nothing, nothing. On the other hand, Thomas More, I think, good leader, pretty good. And again, this document kind of backed that up. But just, interest or focus in serving the public interest, which he definitely did from what we've learned. He seemed to have always put focus on helping the poor, and again, it's like back to my argument of a good leader should put the people before himself, and not the opposite way. And definitely he put, the community, and wanting to, help out the community as much as he can, and really rarely focused on implementing any things to his benefit, and rather implementing things to the benefit of others. And another thing to further connect to would be last week. Yeah, last week. You know, how good of a person are you if, you stay quiet and not say anything against evil, how good of a person you are. He definitely is a good person. You know, he stood up to Henry VIII. He didn't agree with, a lot of things, and he wasn't shy to stand up for people. He wasn't shy to be the voice of those who, remain silent out of fear, in my opinion. Because at least I I find it kind of intimidating trying to go against a higher power. In this case, he was, ruling, and I would think that, and I understand how there's maybe a lot of people like want staying quiet, and but he had the courage, he had the strength to not take any of, Henry's um poor decisions, and called him out, wasn't fair to doing so. Um he wanted, he really, if people weren't gonna say anything, he was gonna say it for them. So that's what I think makes him a good leader. um and in terms of our current events, I think a good thing that's going on now, and it's been, I think it's been, not I think, I know it's been, always happening every generation. There's always people fighting for their voices to be heard. um, Rather, I see it more now because I'm, growing up. You start experiencing the world differently, and you start, seeing the world differently, and so you start having different opinions of how the world and how your society is being, run. So a point that the document makes is strengthening the ethical competence of civil servants and strengthening mechanisms to support professional ethics. So I personally believe that, there's people now, or there's always been, but I'm, more um, sort of attentive to those people now, that there's people that are fighting for what they believe in, and they are, calling out what's wrong. We have protests. Well, yeah, we have civil protests. We have, these marches, these campaigns, um, of people that are fighting to have their voices be heard, and to, make a change in our society. Um, and so I personally think it takes a lot of courage and strength to do so. So, and again, in my opinion, it's scary to go against a higher power like that, but there are people that are doing so. And so I think that's a great thing that's going on in our society at the moment. But the other side to it is, another point that the document made, complaints from you, was that, complaints from us citizens tends to just be put to a side. And, what I mean by that is, I've seen that very rarely someone in power will agree with, you know, someone that has the completely different um, idea than them. And rather, they are more gravitated to agree with those that have a similar idea to them. So, on the higher, the person with power is unlikely to change their opinion, um, and rather just look for people that can kind of either help, boost their opinion, or, maybe tweak it like so little, but, and with that, you know, these people are cherry picking what they want to agree with. They're cherry picking the voices they want to be heard, and that's not fair. Everyone should have their voices be heard, no matter whether you agree with it or not. Um, but the way this society is, playing out at the moment is that these voices are being silenced. And that's why I say it takes a lot of courage and strength, so much strength for um, those that, fight, and not fight, but, advocate for what's right, because it's very easy to just give up and stay quiet. But no, we're fortunate enough that there's people in our society that will, you know, stick for what is, like, fight for what is right. Um, so yeah, that's my discussion. Uh, yeah, thank you.